Right. Good morning. We're in the book. Hope you guys had a good weekend. We're in the book of Leviticus, chapter 19. And for those of you who don't know who the school is, what we do, we're a correspondence Bible study course that is doctrinally sound, sent to you in the mail with a prepaid, pre-addressed, pre-stamped envelope, so that when you finish your study, you answer the questions, put your answers in the envelope. It gets mailed to us. We grade it. We make a record for your file. We keep track. Once you complete series, we give you series certificates of completions, enough series, and you can earn college credit if that's your thing. Our students are ages 4 through in the 80s. We have a pretty good population of students that are incarcerated or in jail type of ministry, and I believe that God's word is the most powerful thing on the human psyche, spirit, and mind, and that it is like a key to unlock who you really are and not who you are now, corrupted by all kinds of desires and just things that really isn't conducive to releasing all that you were created to be. Let's hop to it. Chapter 19. The Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the entire assembly of Israel, and say to them, Be holy, because I, the Lord your God, am holy. Each of you must respect his mother and father, and you must observe my Sabbaths. I am the Lord your God. Do not turn to idols or make gods of cast metal for yourselves. I am the Lord your God. When you sacrifice a fellowship offering to the Lord, sacrifice it in such a way that it will be accepted on your behalf. It shall be eaten on the day you sacrifice it, or on the next day. Anything left over until the third day must be burned up. If any of it is eaten on the third day, it is impure and will not be accepted. Whoever eats it will be held responsible because he has desecrated what is holy to the Lord. That person must be cut off from his people. When you reap the harvest of your land, do not reap the very edges of your field or gather the gleanings of your harvest. Do not go over your vineyard a second time or pick up the grapes that have fallen. Leave them for the poor and the alien. I am the Lord your God." It's pretty interesting. It's like, say you're in business and you worked a quarter, right? Or say 6 months, a half a year. And you worked, and then the reaping, the reaping, you start getting the rewards. And I'm just going to say $50,000. So you work 6 months, you create $50,000. It's almost like God saying, you have enough. The little bits, the little parts that like the change, don't like try to hoard it all for yourself. I don't know. It's something along those lines, I believe. Leave them for the poor and the alien. I am the Lord your God. Do not steal. Do not lie. Do not deceive one another. Gosh, I'm telling you, depending on who you're listening to nowadays, if you're outside and you just meet somebody, or um, I used to be so trusting, right? Someone says something, I give them the benefit of the doubt, believe them. Now, I only trust God, trust very few people in my life. And when I talk to somebody, usually they have to prove to me, uh, or I have to wait till they prove to me that they are trustworthy. I don't just give it to them. Um, Not foolishly, anyways. Do not swear falsely by my name and so profane the name of the Lord of your God. I am the Lord. Do not defraud your neighbor or rob him. Do not hold back the wages of a hired man overnight. Gosh, I've been there. I felt that before. Oh yeah, I'm gonna get you Monday. We're gonna do. No wonder God says, do not hold back the wages of a hired man overnight. Do not curse the deaf or put a stumbling block in front of the blind, but fear your God. I am the Lord. Do not pervert justice. Do not show partiality to the poor or favoritism to the great, but judge your neighbor fairly. Do not go about spreading slander among your people. Oh boy, I wish I could send a message just to a few people that I spread some slander about myself, my mom, my brother Charles, and everyone that's not them. Do not do anything that endangers your neighbor's life. I am the Lord. Like swerving trucks at people. Do not hate your brother in your heart. Rebuke your neighbor frankly so that you will not share in his guilt. In other words, frankly means like say your brother or your neighbor or your somebody um, does something bad or wrong. And he's saying rebuke him frankly so you won't share in his guilt. You go over there and you just, I really, really respect people that just tell it like it is. People that share exactly how they feel in the heart. There's no guessing. There's sometimes their bluntness is scary to some. Sometimes their bluntness is intimidating. And I thank God for actually from my ex-girlfriend because she's the one that taught me how just to go out, speak what's on my heart, speak what's on my mind, and let the what is it called? Let the cards fall as they may. In this case, your neighbor does something, you go there and say, hey man, you screwed up my thing. You did this. Don't, and frankly, that's what he's saying. Just go there and frankly tell him straight up so that you don't share in that guilt. The opposite thing I see is if you don't, right? And you're like, never go to your neighbor, right? You're just a little whiny neighbor. And you're like, man, the neighbor painted my fence post blue and it was really turquoise. And then you tell your another neighbor, ooh, that neighbor, he's a turquoise painting or blue fence painter. The point is you just go to him directly. You don't go, I mean, come on. That's the thing what God's saying here. Rebuke him frankly so you will not share in his guilt. Do not seek revenge or bear a grudge against one of your people, but love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord. Keep my decrees. Do not make different kinds of animals. Do not plant your field with two kinds of seed. I wonder what all this is about. Do not wear clothing woven of two kinds of material. Maybe attach yourself to people that are the same cloth in a way. In other words, probably I shouldn't marry a Satanist. I don't know. I don't know if that's what's being said here. It's do not wear clothing woven of two kinds of material. If a man sleeps with a woman who is a slave girl promised to another man but who has not been ransomed or given her freedom, there must be due punishment. Yet they are not to be put to death because she has not been freed. The man, however, must bring a ram to the entrance of the tent of meeting for a guilt offering to the Lord. With the ram of the guilt offering, the priest is to make atonement for him before the Lord for the sin he has committed, and his sins will be forgiven. When you enter the land, plant any kind of fruit tree, regard its fruit as forbidden. For 3 years you are to consider it forbidden, it must not be eaten. In the 4th year all of its fruit will be holy, an offering of praise to the Lord, but in the 5th year you may eat its fruit. In this way your harvest will be increased. I am the Lord your God. So, meditate on that. You got a fruit tree. Fruit tree doesn't always necessarily mean a fruit tree. It could be you and me, if we're fruitful. And I'm not sure exactly the correlation, but I think there's a correlation there that we can probably meditate on. Or if you have questions on, we can explore. Okay. But in the 5th year you may eat its fruit, and this way your harvest will be increased. I am the Lord your God. Do not eat any meat with the blood still in it. Do not practice divination or sorcery. Do not cut the hair at the sides of your head or clip the edges of your beard. I did that. I'm guilty. I don't know what that means in a spiritual way, but do not degrade your daughter by making her a prostitute. What the hell is wrong with these people? Or the land will turn to prostitution and be filled with wickedness. Observe my Sabbaths and have reverence for my sanctuary. I am the Lord. Do not turn to mediums or seek spiritists, for you will be defiled by them. I am the Lord your God. Rise in the presence of the aged, show respect for the elderly, and revere your God. I am the Lord. Rise in the presence of your elders. Is that right? Rise in the presence of the aged. Show respect for the elderly and revere your God. You want to revere God? You want to show respect to God? Show respect to the aged. You know, literally, I think I'm going to start rising in the presence of the aged. When an alien lives with you in your land, do not mistreat him. The alien living with you must be treated as one of your native born. Love him as yourself, for you were aliens in Egypt. I am the Lord your God. Do not use dishonest standards for measuring length, weight, or quantity. Use honest scales and honest weights and honest ephah and honest hin. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt. Keep all my decrees and all my laws and follow them. I am the Lord. Chapter 20. The Lord said to Moses, say to the Israelites, any Israelite or any alien living among you, any alien living in Israel who gives any of his children to Molech must be put to death. The people of the community are to stone him. I will set my face against that man, and I will cut him off from his people. For by giving his children to Molech, he has defiled my sanctuary and profaned my holy name. If the people of the community close their eyes when that man gives one of his children to Molech, and they fail to put him to death, I will set my face against that man and his family, and I will cut off from their people both him and all who follow him and prostituting themselves to Molech. I will set my face against the person who turns to mediums and spiritists and to prostitute himself by following them, and I will cut him off from his people. Okay, now let me just, there's a place in Berlin, right? It's like palm reader, fortune teller, whatever. And before that lady was doing that, she was selling like rocks, crystals, and stuff like that. And I met her. It was cool. I didn't do a spiritual thing with her. But, you know, in this case, I'm just going to use something local as the example. He says, whoever turns to these people, right, crystal ballers or whatever, to prostitute himself by following them or herself, I will cut them off from his people. All right, so if you were to go to a spiritist, in God's eyes, it's like you're connected to him in a spiritual way. You're his son, you're his daughter. He says, don't do this. You go out and you do this. You almost sever that connection and say, you know what, I'm going to follow these guides, these spirits. And the consequence is that you're cut off from him or from his people. Consecrate yourselves and be holy, because I am the Lord your God. Keep my decrees and follow them. I am the Lord who makes you holy. If anyone curses his father or mother, he must be put to death. He has cursed his father or his mother, and his blood remains on his head. If a man commits adultery with another man's wife, with the wife of his neighbor, both the adulterer and the adulteress must be put to death. If a man sleeps with his father's wife, he has dishonored his father. Both the man and the woman must be put to death. Their blood will be on their own heads. If a man sleeps with his daughter-in-law, both of them must be put to death. What they have done is a perversion. Their blood will be on their own heads. I'm going to stop real quick. You know, in America, we have lots of perversions. And the thing is the culture is almost not only accepting, but almost encouraging. I had an experience when I was in Fort Campbell. I was already outside of the military. I was a civilian, and a lot of the Army guys were deployed. And this one real pretty girl had, I guess, liked me, and you know, it just wouldn't go anywhere because I have respect for soldiers' wives was the first thing, you know. how can I do this to this guy? Uh, mess around with his wife. This guy is overseas, probably in Iraq or Afghanistan. Um, and I've been in places deployed, and I know um, the demand, the what's required of a person, and it's not easy. And this guy's out there doing this, and so what was one of her words? Like, he's thousands of miles away or something like that. Sorry, man. The the culture might encourage that, but God's word is totally against it. Pornography. Do not get tangled up in pornography, boys. Do not. If a man lies with a man as one lies with a woman, both of them have done what is detestable. They must be put to death. Their blood will be on their own heads. If a man marries both a woman and her mother, it is wicked. Both he and they must be burned in the fire, so that no wickedness will be among you. If a man has sexual relations with an animal, he must be put to death, and you must kill the animal. If a woman approaches an animal and have sexual relations with it, kill both the woman and the animal. They must be put to death. Their blood will be on their own heads. You're thinking, what woman, what guy's going to go and do something like that? Don't even ask, and you don't want to find out. If a woman approaches an animal to have sexual relations, okay. If a man marries his sister, the daughter of either his father or his mother, and they have sexual relations, it is a disgrace. They must be cut off from the eyes of their people. He has dishonored his sister and will be held responsible. If a man lies with a woman during her monthly period and has sexual relations with her, he has exposed the source of her flow and she has uncovered it. Both of them must be cut off from the people. Do not have sexual relations with your sister of either your mother or your father, for that would dishonor a close relative. Both of you would be held responsible. And I'm just going to say something that I think is correct. I think Sarah and Abraham, Sarah was his half sister, I believe. So, this was probably written after Abraham, and maybe Abraham did that, but he's okay in a way. I don't know. If a man sleeps with his aunt, do not have sexual care. He has dishonored his uncle. They will be held responsible. They will die childless. If a man marries his brother's wife, it is an act of impurity. He has dishonored his brother. They will be childless. Keep all my decrees and laws and follow them, so that the land where I am bringing you to live may not vomit you out. You must not live according to the customs of the nations. Do not live, and I'm talking to you, do not live in accordance with the customs of the USA, with the customs of the barrio, with the customs of the hood. Man, God, that shit. Keep all my decrees and laws, follow them. The land where I'm bringing you to live may not vomit you out. You must not live according to the customs of the nations I am going to drive you out before you, because they did all these things. I abhorred them. But I said to you, you will possess their land. I will give it to you as an inheritance, a land flowing with milk and honey. I am the Lord your God who has set you apart from the nations. You must make, therefore, a distinction between clean and unclean animals, and between clean and unclean birds. Do not defile yourselves by any animal or bird or anything that moves along the ground. Those which I have set apart as unclean for you, you are to be holy to me, because I, the Lord, am holy. And I have set you apart from the nations to be my own. A man or a woman who is a medium or a spiritist among you must be put to death. You are to stone them. Their blood will be on their own heads. So what is that telling you? Well, I guess I'm going to have to go to town and stone that girl that's a spiritist. See you in jail, guys. No, I'm just kidding. What does it say? Well, the biggest thing in this last part here is that as Christians, we're really set apart. Before I was a Christian, before I went to the army, I was a pretty good kid. I was for a while. And maybe 10, 11, started going the bad way. But whenever you're a person of the book, that's what the Muslims call us, people of the book. I'm talking about the Bible. When you're a person of the book, person following after God's own heart, it's really like he calls you, and because of who you are, you're different. He says, separated, I have set apart as unclean for you are to be holy in me because I am the Lord your God. And I have set you apart from the nations to be my own. So what does that mean? He set us apart. We're different, and he's saying he's the one that set us apart. It's not like I decided one day I'm going to serve God. He kind of calls it, well, he calls us to that. And then the other part is to make sure that the warning or the exhortation is, do not be like these people around you, right? So say you're in America and you're a Christian, and most of the people in your family, hood, your friends or whatever, always go out Friday night, and the guys are going out to find some girls to have sex, right? And there's nothing saying you can't go out. In fact, Jesus probably would go out. The thing is, the difference is your mindset. So when you're before God and stuff, you go out there like, all right, I'm gonna try to holler at some girls, see what goes down. Then afterward, after you become a Christian and follow God, you go there and your mindset might be, you know what? I'm going to have fun. I'm going to dance, but I'm not going to do some cocaine. I'm not going to try to hook up with these girls and all the crazy stuff that happens out there. So that is the difference. I'm going to close this out. We're at 22-minute mark, and we're going to go in the next video to chapter 21, Leviticus. God bless everybody. I'm going to shut this live down if I remember how.